Alright, kings, gentlemen, everyone else, welcome to yet another exciting episode of man struggling to catch his breath on a hill. Although I am going downhill at this moment. So, we're going to talk about Pope Francis. Pope Francis has passed away, and I'm technically on vacation, so I didn't want to make videos for the duration, but this is something that's been rattling around in my head for a long time, and I might as well just get it out of my system, now that Pope Francis is dead. And what's going to happen is that the church is going to be electing a new pope, and this is, maybe pretentious. Now it's the time, I would say, for the church to show its true allegiance, true colors. And I would say that there is a possibility. So when Pope Francis was elected pope, it was heralded as a new dawn, because he's the first non-European pope. Now, what many people did not really talk about, they were fixated on the whole geographic aspect, was that Pope Francis was white. He was, I believe, of primarily Italian descent. His last name was Bergoglio, and he was from Argentina, but Argentina is not exactly well, let's call it a non-European country, huh? The demographics of Argentina are frankly better than some of the demographics of some European countries. More white, I mean. So Pope Francis was white. Now, that did not really stop him from being, well, let's just come out and say it, a third worldist. Someone who believes in liberation theology, someone who believes that the first world is wealthy because it stole from the third world, from the second world. And notoriously, because this is a geopolitics channel, Pope Francis condemned, I don't think he ever condemned Ukraine, but he was excusing Russian war crimes. He was doing the sort of Donald Trump clamoring for peace, for an unjust peace, which would favor Russia and injure Ukraine. And for that, I don't think I can say rest in peace. I know, it's God's judgment, it's not mine. Pope Francis will likely have to face the Almighty and have some explaining to do. No, let's just keep walking. But here on earth we have laws and justice, and as well as they do in heaven, and our laws and our justice clearly condemn Pope Francis as someone who tried to undermine not just Ukraine's struggle for survival, but also Europe's struggle against Russian aggression, and against really this invasion of all of Asia against all of Europe, which is rapidly turning into an invasion of the entire, let's call it, outer revolt, which is Asia, Africa, Latin America, against all of Europe. And now the church is actually at a precipice. Now that Pope Francis has died, who is going to be the next pope? Who is going to be elected next pope? It's going to show the church's allegiance. So, if the next pope is elected from the third world, if it's an African cardinal, if it's, an Asian, a Philippine cardinal, if it's a Latin American cardinal, let's call it of the brown persuasion, it's going to tell us that the church is against Europe. It's going to tell us that the church has elected, for whatever strange, stupid fucking reason, to align itself against the civilization that created it. A lot of people will tell you that, the church created Europe. That's not true. Europe created the church, not the other way around. All of the church's traditions used to be European traditions. The office of the Pope is Pontifex Maximus. That's an office which predates Christianity. It comes from the Roman Republic. It's the chief religious authority of the Roman Republic. All of the offices of the church, the legislative body, the curia, right? This comes from the Roman Republic. Europe made the church, not the other way around. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That doesn't mean the church is not European, or that the church is necessarily an enemy of Europe. But the choice of next pope will tell you whether the church has chosen the side of Europe or the side of the enemy. And I would say that the clearest sign we could have, steep hill coming, so get ready for wild boar breath. The surest sign we have that the Church has chosen the side of Europe would be election of a Lithuanian or Polish Pope. So one of the Polish cardinals, one of the Lithuanian cardinals becoming... How the fuck did I pick the most crowded path? Jesus Christ. I just shouldn't swear on Easter Monday. But the Church's choices will tell us, if a Lithuanian or Polish Pope is elected, like they did John Paul II in the 80s, it will signal that the Church is with Europe and that the Church will put its considerable resources towards the fight of the civilized world against the savages of the outer revolt. However, I believe it's far more likely that the Church will elect a pope from the Third World, Africa, Latin America, and he will be performatively possibly more conservative than Pope Francis, and this will be spun as a great victory for conservatism. Well, in global terms, a victory for conservatism is not a victory for Europe. It's a victory for the enemies of Europe, who tend to be a lot more conservative than Europe. That's a little detail that the right won't often reveal to you. Fuck, I'm white. Anyways, and what the Church needs right now is a John Paul II, someone who will rightfully orient the Church in the direction of justice and morality, because there is I don't think there is such a division between justice in heaven and justice on earth. If you're not fighting for justice on earth, if you're willing to let injustice on earth go unpunished, as Pope Francis was willing to do in the Russia-Ukraine issue, then I don't think you have any spiritual authority. And I am sad to say that the Catholic Church under Francis and the Orthodox churches, of which, I'm a member of the Macedonian Orthodox Church, they have completely failed this test of demanding justice, earthly justice, as well as heavenly justice, for the crimes of the Russian enemies of Europe against Ukraine and against Europe. And for this reason, I cannot pledge allegiance to this church. I've not been to church since the invasion started, and I just can't do it. I want to hear the Archbishop condemn the invasion before I return to church. And right now, the Catholic Church has a chance to elect a pope who will name and shame and condemn the crimes of the Russian Federation and its ally states, North Korea, Iran, China, and increasingly the United States, and thus redeem the Church, show that the Church is on the side of morality, of justice, of righteousness, and ultimately Europe, instead of the other way around. And however, I believe that the Church will not do so, because their behavior in the past have shown that they are more than ready to just become enemies of Europe if it need be. They do like sitting on both chairs, though, those priests, They do like kissing up to secular power, and I guess it's a side effect of just sending all of the, let's call them low testosterone man to the priesthood, that eventually what is supposed to be the highest moral authority in Europe is staffed entirely by cowards who fail to stand up for what is right. I'm getting a little emotional here, so let's stop this video before I embarrass myself any further. Bye-bye, folks, and take care.